This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where tech meets mind, we ponder, we dream.
All right, so thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you because this is how we meet each other nowadays over Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
So my name is Joel Zuckerman. My website is gratitudetiger.com. And I have come to this understanding and deep relationship with what I call proactive, expressive gratitude. And for many years, Chris, I
Or
was a
PEG for short. No?
huh?
PEG for short? No.
Proactive, expressive gratitude. No. Hey, I'm glad you said that. Tiger is an acronym. It means
Okay.
tapping into gratitude engenders rewards.
Nice. I like
Tapping
that.
into gratitude engenders rewards. That's where Tiger comes from.
I love it.
So anyway, I was a very prolific golf, travel, sports writer for many years, and I started writing gratitude letters about 12 years ago, and it kind of took over my professional endeavors. And now I wrote a book that just came out, Gratitude Tiger, and I speak about how writing letters of gratitude can improve your life. And that's the direction I moved in. It's certainly wasn't expected. It was completely like a lot of good things in life. It came out of the blue. And that's what I'm focusing on.
I love it. So what drove you to do this? What made you want to do this? Like tell us about that.
In November of 2013, the season of Thanksgiving, I picked up a super famous best-selling self-help book that many of your listeners have heard of, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And it's all small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Chapters are short, 2 pages long, 3 pages long. One of the chapters was titled Write a Heartfelt Letter.
Mm.
So in 2013, I was a very busy professional writer, books, magazine articles, internet pieces. I was a speaker speaking about golf. And I thought, I can write a heartfelt letter. I can write all sorts of things. I thought of someone I wanted to write to, a business associate friend of mine. When I sat down to type out the letter, use my word processor, I didn't handwrite it, which is key here in a moment. When I sat down to write the letter, it never occurred to me I would write a second letter. I just wanted to do it the way we want to do anything that we feel challenged.
You were experimenting. You wanted to give it a try and see what happens.
Exactly. So when I put the letter in the mailbox, I texted him for his address, got a stamp, envelope. When I put the letter in the mailbox, I was overcome with a feeling of warmth and connection. That caught me by surprise, and it felt great to do something like that, just make a one-on-one connection. So I wrote another letter, then another, then another. Then I wrote my sister, then I wrote my brother. After a year, it was 20. A couple years, it was 50. I got to 100 2 years later, 3 years later. And when I wrote 150 letters, I decided to write a book called Grateful. It came out right in the pandemic. And that was a private book for just people I'd written letters to. And then I decided to write a book for commercial distribution called Gratitude Tiger, which came out in April.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about that first letter. So how did you decide who to write it to? How did you decide what to put into it? I mean, was there a specific reason why you picked this person to write it to?
I can't remember exactly now, but as I said, I was a golf and travel writer. This gentleman was a principal at a PR firm, and he represented golf clients domestically and internationally. And he invited me on press trips or FAM trips, which are short for familiarity trips. And we just clicked. We hit it off. We met in 2001. And by the time 2013 had come around, our relationship had diminished a little bit because I wasn't traveling as much. But when I thought, who am I grateful to besides the usual suspects? My wife, my children.
Yeah, your current circle that you're with. Yeah.
But you know what? My friend Dan Shepard, and the letter I wrote to him is in the book, Gratitude Tiger, because the book has 12 sample letters,
Mm.
one from every year, 2013 through 2024.
What actual letters that you wrote?
Actual letters, so people can see how it's done. No,
Mm.
so each letter, one from each year, has some tips and tricks as to what I did in that letter. And so I wanted to include Dan Shepard's letter because it was literally the first one I wrote.
Right.
It was going to be the only one I was going to write. And then when I felt
Right, because you probably thought to yourself, I'm just going to do this and then send it out, and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I became enamored of this whole concept, and it really started to become, as you can tell, extremely important to me to do this. I have 2 letters. I mean, the question is, Chris, like, when do you run out of people that you're grateful
You never do.
to?
You never do.
I've got 2 letters on the desk behind me, and I never have 2 at a time. One I'm going to put in the mail, and one I'm going to hand to someone. 2 separate people in my life, and now we're up at 280 letters.
Nice.
But when I wrote the letter to Dan, I never thought I'd write another letter until I put it in the mailbox, and then I go, "Wow, that was enriching."
Really? So you did it on you said you did it on a word processor, right? You did it on your computer.
Yeah.
What made you decide that it was different? It felt different doing it handwritten as opposed to doing it computer.
Such a great question. Anyone who hears me speak or buys Gratitude Tiger or can just understand the concept of writing letters of gratitude, I imagine 90% of those who choose to do this will write a handwritten note, which is very nice. I'm very lucky that I used the word processor on that first letter because now I've got 280. I've written 2 books about this subject. I know who I've written to, when, and what I said. And there have been at least a dozen people or couples who have gotten encore letters. My wife has gotten 2 letters from me years apart. My daughters have each gotten 2 or 3 letters from me years apart. So because I'm a professional writer, I like to revisit what I said.
Right.
And if I'm writing someone an encore letter, I want to review what I wrote to them 7 years ago and make sure I don't use the same turns of phrase. So
when you do that with handwritten letters, do you just photocopy them and then say, okay, I got them? Like,
so let me make a very important distinction. There are thank you notes and there are letters of gratitude. Difference. A thank you note is typically for some particular reason. Thank you for having me to dinner. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the introduction to so-and-so.
Exactly.
A letter of gratitude is above and beyond that. You are expressing gratitude to someone just for being themselves. Now, the letter might start with a specific instance. For example, I told you there are 2 letters on my desk awaiting delivery. One of them is to a couple who lives down the street from me who had me over to their home last week for a wine tasting.
Nice.
So the first couple sentences are, thanks for having me over for the Grape Fest. So the letter begins with a thank you note connotation, but then the entire page is filled up in, I want to say, showing my age, typewritten. What's the proper expression? Word processed? It's not cursive.
Well, it's funny. Nowadays, the assumption is it's going to be typed into an email or whatever, as opposed to handwritten. Handwritten is different. I think if you just say written, the assumption is typed into an email or something like that. At least that's what I would think. Yeah.
So let me make 2 points. One about the email, but this letter has started like many letters do, thanking them for something specific. In this case, thanks for the wine tasting.
Is that something new that you did, or was that the original letter also had that sort of event-based trigger?
No. That first letter to Dan Shepard was a straightforward letter thanking him for being such an important influence on my writing career.
Nice.
And also thanks for taking me on about a dozen press trips. Let's cut right to the chase.
Let's be real.
Let's be real. But on the other hand, let me make this distinction. I use a stamp envelope in the mailbox because there is something ceremonial
Mm,
about receiving something in the mail that's not a bill, a circular, a catalog. Very little comes in the mail, Chris, that you want.
nothing comes in the mail that I want.
Maybe Christmas card, I don't know. Maybe someone sends you
Rarely,
maybe someone
rarely.
sends you a check, but because I'm kind of, I don't know, is the proper term old fashioned? I'm not sure.
Old
But
school. Old school. You're old
old
school.
school, I'm not old school because I don't handwrite them. I use the word processor,
Oh, so you
but
do use the word processor, but you do put it on paper and you print it and you sign
exactly.
it and then you drop it in the mail. Oh, see, that makes it a
Exactly.
hell of a lot easier because I was thinking I would have to handwrite all these things. That would be a pain
No.
because my
So
hand would cramp up and everything.
there are two reasons why I use the word processor. One is it eliminates objectionable handwriting.
Mm,
Okay. But more importantly for me, because I've turned this through no plan into a business, into a cottage industry, I need to know what I've said to who and when I've said it.
right.
It's no different. It's no different in its own way. Like when I was a golf writer, my
Mm,
website was vagabondgolfer.com.
I love the name. That's
Yeah,
great.
those are the only two websites in my life, and they both have pretty good names, Vagabond Golfer and Gratitude Tiger. But my whole persona depended on me playing more and more and more golf courses every
Right.
year
Right.
to live up to the moniker.
That's right.
Well,
Well, you were a content creator. You had to just continuously create the content. You had to play those courses in order to create the content,
that's
right?
one
So,
part of it. And the other part of it is to give me an aroma of legitimacy.
mm,
That, who
true.
is this guy, Vagabond Golfer? Oh, he's played 950 courses around
Yeah.
the world. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
he's somebody we should be
I
paying attention to.
I get it. I get it. So with Gratitude Tiger, I continue to find people to spread or a wide swath of gratitude towards and
Mm,
keep building and building this archive of letters, which someday soon, hopefully, will reach 300.
I love it. Can you take
So,
us through the structure of a typical letter? Like what are the different parts?
so let me tell you this. One of the chapters in the book Gratitude Tiger is called 10 Concepts to Completion. In
Mm.
other words, I never run out of things to say. If your podcast was 3 hours long, we and chat
I'm not
and
quite Joe
chat.
Rogan yet, but maybe someday.
so so my point is that my letters are full page typed. I
Mm,
never run out of anything to say. In fact, I have to shrink the font. i
really?
start I start at 14, but if I've got more to say, I'll go to 12 and even 10.
Oh my God. So you just squeeze it onto a single page?
i i,
Is that
I insist my letters are on one facing page.
one
You don't
facing page? I
One
love it.
page. Yeah, yeah.
So
So what
give
can I tell
yourself
you,
some
man?
constraints. You
I'm
have to
I'm
give yourself some
I'm
constraints.
quirky. I have my certain, sir, dude. When I saw that I've been writing letters in 12 calendar years, 2013 through
Hmm.
2024, I said this is a perfect chapter for the new book. 12 sample letters, right?
I love it.
So,
I love
so
it.
I like my numbers. So in this chapter that I'm talking about, 10 concepts to completion, I give the reluctant writer, the person who doesn't have the bandwidth, the creativity, the time, the emotional vulnerability, 10 ideas on how to write letters.
Mm,
So I'll give you a couple of them.
okay.
One of them is, and this relates back to the one that I wrote back in November of 2013, you relate a letter, if possible, to a holiday. When I wrote, or an important day on the calendar. In
Right.
Dan's case, Dan, it's almost Thanksgiving, and I want to express my thanks for your tremendous help, support, et cetera, et cetera. You can do it for Christmas. It's the season of good tidings. You can do it at the start of summer. Chris, summer's about to start, and I think back to our summer adventures in high school, and
Nice.
I smile inside. I took this concept to the extreme. I wrote to an old buddy of mine. The first line was, "Dear Jimbo, it's Veterans Day. And as one of my veteran friends, I wanted to express my gratitude to you." I don't even mean a military veteran. He's just like one of my veteran friends
Yeah, that's
from
right. A veteran, you've known him for a long
a
time,
long
right?
time.
I
So
love it.
that's one concept, which is tie the letter to a holiday. And of course, the best thing is tying it to someone's birthday or
Mm,
their wedding day or their retirement day.
right.
Hopefully, a once in a lifetime, or at least, birthdays are very personal. I've written a couple on wedding days,
Mm,
which of course are very personal. So anyway, that's concept number one. Tie a letter to a date on the calendar.
right.
Another idea, Chris, is you reference the surprise of the letter.
Mm.
Dear Chris, I know this letter is a shock to you. You pro- you probably thought I
Because
couldn't write
nobody
much,
ever gets letters. I love it.
or you could be
So
self-deprecating.
meta. It's so
You
meta.
you could be self-deprecating. Dear Chris, I know you're shocked to be reading this letter, probably because you never thought I was capable of more than a grocery list. But I want to express my gratitude to you, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give you a third concept, and I alluded to this a few minutes ago. Start with something specific
Mm,
and then segue. So picture a funnel, an upside down funnel, okay? Skinny on the top and then widens out. Dear Chris, thank you for having me on your podcast. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. But I really want to tell you I'm grateful to you for this, that, and the other. In this case, I
right.
can't because we've just met each other. But I
Right.
mentioned earlier in the conversation, I was at the neighbor's house last week. Thank you for having me over for the wine tasting.
Mm,
I thought I was introduced to some wines I had never seen, et cetera, et cetera. But let me express my gratitude in a more comprehensive manner.
right.
So those are three ideas out of the 10. Off the top of my head, I really can't think. I do talk about using self-deprecating humor. I reference what else? Mention the family, even if you don't know them
Mm,
well. I hope all is proceeding well with your kids and grandkids. But three that I always mention when I'm on podcasts are tie the letter to a holiday or an important date on the calendar,
mhm,
reference the surprise
mhm.
of the letter. And the third thing is you start with something specific. I'm thankful to you because of this introduction. But let me tell you, over the 15 years that we've known each other, I am grateful to you in general. And
Mm.
then you outline some of the reasons.
And
So
you bring those events up during the course of how you know
exactly.
this person. I mean, you can't just like if you just met somebody or you hardly know them or you don't really connect with them. It's difficult to do that, but you can pull those elements out, the times you've met and what you've done and stuff like that. So
And you made a great point, which goes to show that you're very highly skilled and experienced in the podcast world. Not every letter of gratitude is lovey-dovey.
mm,
Some of them have a tinge of transactional. There's a
yep.
transactional nature. I'll give you
Mm,
an example. I'll give you a great example. I was a golf writer, as I said. I wrote 8 books about golf. Some of the books got a lot of attention. In one book, a lot of attention, a lot of sales. In one book in particular, I was helped by a reasonably famous professional golfer named Dave Stockton.
hmm.
Not to talk about golf, but Dave Stockton's claim to fame is twofold. One, he won the PGA championship twice. So he
Nice.
won one of the 4 majors on 2 separate occasions. More germane to our conversation is he was the captain of the Ryder Cup team in the most famous, crazy, competitive Ryder Cup in 1991 at Kiowa Island, South Carolina. It's called the
Mm,
War by the Shore.
mm,
Anyway, now I'm putting on my golf nerd hat. I'll take it off quickly. But Dave Stockton was, he's no Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer, but a reasonably successful
Well, the
pro
fact that he
golfer.
actually played and won puts him in the stratosphere for me. That's for sure.
Yeah, he won 2 major championships. So
Yeah, that's a big deal.
that's a small group. Anyway, Dave helped me with a book project of mine. And when I wrote him a letter of gratitude, and I enclosed the copy of the new book, and I said, Dave, please notice I've dedicated this book to you, all your help. And by the way, if you know anyone else in your profession who's equally charitably inclined, who may be able to help me get a sequel off the ground, I would love to talk to you about it. So it was
Right.
a legitimate, sincere letter of gratitude, but it was also transactional.
Yep. Yep.
So there are all sorts, and I've written many letters to people I barely know, not many, some. And some letters I talk about going way back,
Yeah.
remember back in the day.
So is there
So-
a reason why you pick a certain order? Is it because, is it time of year, so and so's birthday, so and so's wedding, it's summer or whatever? Like, is there a particular reason why you pick a particular person to write to?
Great question. Another chapter in Gratitude Tiger is called Obligation versus Compulsion.
Mm.
Okay. So that chapter begins 50 years ago. I had a bar mitzvah, which is a Jewish rite of passage when you're 13 years old. And my parents made me sit down and write thank you note after thank you note. Thank you for the pen set.
As they should have.
Right. Thank you for the pen set. Thank you for the $25 savings bond, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That is an obligation.
Mm.
Letters of gratitude should be a compulsion.
Right.
That's why the chapter is called Obligation versus Compulsion. Now, let me take that one step further. You are obligated, if you were raised a certain way, to write a thank you note.
Mm.
If someone gives you a gift, has you to dinner, gives you concert tickets, the list is endless. They're not standing by the mailbox necessarily, but they may think possibly a little less of you for not acknowledging whatever it is they did on your behalf.
Exactly.
Had you to dinner, made the introduction, took you to a concert, etc. So there's a certain expectation, and if not written, then an email or a text or even a phone call.
Yeah.
But a letter of gratitude takes the recipient by surprise.
I love it. So I have a question for you.
That's
So
the difference.
If I want to start doing this, let's say I love your concept, I read your book, and I think to myself, that's going to take a lot of effort. That's going to take a lot of work. How much time does it usually take for you to write one of these?
Another good question. There's a chapter in Gratitude Tiger.
It's almost like we're trying to promote your book, not the concept.
Chris, you know what? It's not nuclear physics. This is a very simple concept. So every question you're asking is addressed in the book. There's a chapter called 7 paragraphs, 7 sentences, 7 words. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Nice pattern.
Because I'm loquacious. We've been talking for 15 minutes. You can see that I can hold up my end of the conversation and more.
Mm-hmm.
My letters of gratitude tend to be 7 paragraphs long. They're streams of consciousness. I'll go off on a tangent and bring it back to gratitude. But most people don't have the time, the bandwidth, the emotional vulnerability. So I say you can do the same thing in 7 sentences, which is overkill, because etiquette experts like Emily Post say a great thank you note is 3 or 4
But this is not a thank you. This is not a thank you note. This is a letter of gratitude. It's very different.
So my point is 7 sentences is more than enough, but you can show deep gratitude in 7 words. Let me give you a few examples. I do this when I speak at corporate events. You want to show deep gratitude to someone, you don't have time, try this. This department would not run without you. That's it. You are the cog in the machine. You are the best hire we've made. Boom. Takes
Wow.
you 7 or now. Let me give you a couple. I'm going to go back to
See,
this.
you are a writer. You are definitely a writer.
Let me let me go back to the gratitude in the workplace, which is super important. But there are examples on the personal level. You are the most wonderful daughter ever.
Mm.
That's all you need to do.
Hmm.
My life would be inferior without you.
Mm.
What a wonderful marriage we've enjoyed.
Mm.
You don't have to be Shakespeare. You can do it in 5 or 10 seconds and blow away the recipient.
But dude, you are a writer. A lot of these people who are out there, they're not writers.
But they can do it in 7 words.
Yeah.
7 words. So let me tell you a funny story.
Mm.
Gratitude in the workplace is one of my key things because I'm looking for corporate gigs. I speak at
Right.
YPO, Young Presidents Organization functions, and people are always interested in how is this going to benefit not just me personally, but the bottom line.
Right.
Okay.
Of
So
course.
here's a great story. I'm speaking in San Diego at a YPO forum. Super high end, successful individuals. Guy comes up afterwards. He says, Joel, that was incredible. But those 7 words, I'm afraid if I'm so complimentary, they'll ask me for a raise. So, so I
That's the
think,
worst thing that could happen.
so I think about it for about 10 seconds. I go, well, you can spare them 7 words. Can you spare them 14 words total? He goes, yeah. I say, try this. You are the cog in the machine, but there is always room for improvement. He he laughed.
So
He
take him to the
laughed.
put him on the pedestal and then bring the pedestal
Yeah.
down just a touch.
And the other thing I say to employers who want to empower their employees and make them feel seen and valued, because Gen Z and millennials, their number one concern is being seen, valued, and appreciated.
Absolutely.
It's
100%.
amazing. That's from Gallup polling, and some of the stats I quote are from Deloitte Consulting.
Hmm.
So how do you make someone feel seen, valued, and appreciated more than hit them over the head with just a powerful sentence of gratitude? But as I caution, when you are showing gratitude, just show the gratitude.
Mm.
Don't say, you are the cog in the machine. Looking forward to hearing the Peterson report later today. Let the
Yeah.
Peterson report stew for like an hour or two. Just hit him with a little dose
That's
of
right.
gratitude.
That's it. No mixer. Straight up.
You can
Straight
do
up
the same
gratitude.
thing. Peterson will wait an hour or till the next
That's
day,
right.
but
That's right.
just hit someone because, corporate groups I speak to, Chris, I say, raise your hand if you have a problem with employee retention. And 80-90% of the people raise their
Oh,
hands.
hell yeah, for sure.
I say, no, you don't. You have a problem with employee defection.
Hmm.
Employee retention is not a problem
No.
if you can retain them. The problem is they're defecting from the organization. And if you're not going to pay them, I live in Park City, Utah. There are 4 major industries here: skiing, lodging, retail, and restaurant.
Hmm.
None of them
That's pretty much
give
it.
none of them give big bonuses. None of them fatten your 401k. It's all a lifestyle choice. So if you can't show gratitude in the traditional manner, i.e., pay them more,
Right.
you can hit your employees with a shot of gratitude. And is it going to keep them there? If someone's offering them more money, probably not, but it will help with morale. It will
Yeah.
make them feel like they're being seen. It will make them feel more kindly disposed towards you, the boss or the supervisor.
I love it. I love it. So it's time to think like a future. This is year 2035, 10 years from now. Where do you see this going? Do you think that more and more people will pick this up and run with it? Or,
That's a great question. I was hired to speak to a young audience last week,
how young?
millennial and Gen Z.
Hmm.
And the bosses said to me, we need you to slap some gratitude into these people. I said, okay, that's what I do.
Wait a second. They want you to slap some gratitude to them, or do you want them to be more grateful to us? Like which way is the gratitude going?
The bosses were saying our departments are overrun with backbiting, infighting, finger pointing, morale is low.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to teach these people to be grateful for their coworkers.
Oh, you want to impress gratitude on them.
Exactly. I said, sounds like what I do. Then he says, but the thing is, they won't write letters. I said, what? He said, they won't write letters. They don't even want to write emails. They only want to text.
That's right.
And then he says to me, most of these young people won't talk on the phone with someone they don't know.
They will not. That number shows up. I don't know that number. I'm not picking it up. I'm not talking to that person. It doesn't matter who.
God. So I like it when you wind me up, push me out on stage, and I do my thing about letter writing. So I had to come up with a whole different kettle of fish to try and impress upon these young people that I couldn't ask them to write letters because they wouldn't. Right. So when you ask me what's going on in the future, my audience, my best audience, and I get the most traction with people 40 to 90 years old. They've written thank you notes. They've received thank you notes. And the concept that I'm espousing is not foreign to them.
Right. No.
Where am I going to be? Am I going to be a dinosaur? Am I going to be an Edsel or an 8-track tape or a cassette tape? I don't know. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing. In other words, I don't have any profundities for you or your audience about.
Are you sure you can't figure out some way of appealing to that audience? I don't know, like a gratitude emoji or something. I don't know what the hell.
So
what would work? I'm
glad you brought that up. There's a chapter in my new book called AI. And in that chapter, I say, don't use AI for a letter of gratitude. If you must, for a jumping off point, but if you can't think of a few nice things to say, just buy a Hallmark card. Don't even.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's like everybody's pushing so much off onto AI. It's like, where's our effort? I mean, there's got to be some effort on the human side. There's got to be even this little smidge of effort, like they said, for 7 words or whatever.
So
you got to have something.
I have to start steering these interviews in the right direction. Not that this is the wrong direction, but the gist of what I do is based on the 7 pillars of expressive gratitude. And I will share with you just pillar number 1. Why is it number 1? It's the most important one.
Of course.
Writing letters of gratitude makes you, the letter writer, feel good. I told you that when I told you about the first letter I put in the mailbox. I told you I never was going to, never occurred to me I'd write a second letter, but it felt so good. That feeling of connection, that this guy's going to open this letter and go, wow, that's so cool that Joel reached out to me this way. So pillar number 1, writing letters of gratitude makes you, the letter writer, feel good. That's why I've done it 280 times.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use AI, pillar number 2 is makes the recipient feel good.
Right.
If you use AI, the recipient will feel good, but deep in your heart. I make the analogy in the book, Chris. It's like you're a competent chef. You're like a gourmet chef. You invite friends over for dinner, don't have time to go to the store. You rush to the gourmet market, grab a side, grab an entree, grab a dessert, throw away the plastic, put it all on plates. Everyone has a great time, but you're a fraud. You didn't cook it. You slapped it on plates. That's what AI is in terms of letters of gratitude. So not everyone's creative, not everyone's effusive. I get it, but you can be very to the point. As I said, 7 words, a few sentences. And if you must use AI because it's a crutch for your life, use it to get a couple ideas, but don't just cut and paste some
Yeah.
AI drivel.
Absolutely. And the other thing I would want to say is, give it a try, right? I mean, like what happened to you is like you wrote the letter and you posted the letter and you had the sense, the feeling came to you when you were posting the letter. But some people might do it and feel nothing, right?
I
So
don't know.
maybe it's not for them. Maybe that's another thing for them.
How would they not feel nothing?
Well,
Yeah,
everybody's different, right?
Mm, I was with a buddy today who tells me he delivers Meals on Wheels. I rejected the idea outright because he says a lot of the houses smell funny. So that would kind of put me off completely. But imagine if I was the type of person who would do that. At the end of a shift, whatever a shift is, I assume it's 2 or 3 hours, you deliver 10 or 20 meals.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you feel like you're a good person?
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
If you work in a soup kitchen, which I never have, wouldn't you feel good about yourself? That's what letters of gratitude do.
Right.
One-on-one connection. By the way, I'm not going to deliver for Meals on Wheels. I've never worked in a soup kitchen. I've never ran a PTA bake sale. I never coached the kids in soccer. But writing letters of gratitude connects me to the recipient in a way that is intoxicating. And I disagree with what you said. Anyone who writes one, even 7 words, is going to feel like, wow, when my wife reads this text, when my sister gets my postcard, when my best friend gets my email, they are going to be so pleased. And that makes me pleased.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, at least try it. I mean, there's some people who are poo-pooing this idea and they're like, no, give it a try. See what happens. See how you feel when you do it.
Well, they might poo-poo it in the same way that you and I might listen to a vegetarian chef extol the virtues of a plant-based diet.
Right.
And it's cheaper and it's better for your body and it's better for the environment. But damn, those In-N-Out cheeseburgers are so delicious, right? It's the same thing. But in my case, I'm not asking you to give anything up. I'm not asking you to change your lifestyle. I'm saying, so when I speak to people, 8 minutes in, 6 or 8 minutes into my presentation, I say, I want you all to think of 2 people to whom you are grateful. One that is with you and one that is sadly no longer with you. When I tell you this has an instantaneous, reflexive response from the audience, I'm not teasing. You can see everyone locks in.
Yeah.
So I will say, who will share with us who they thought of? Well, I'm grateful to my spouse, and I'm also grateful to my granddad, who was so wonderful. He passed away. And right then and there, I say, it's too late to write to your grandfather, but do not hesitate. Write to your wife or your husband tonight, tomorrow, by the weekend. Put it in the bureau, put it in their backpack, put it in the mail. Don't hesitate. You will love the way it makes you feel. So I get right to the heart of it very quickly when I speak. And I've never heard anyone say this, which is why this conversation is so interesting. I can't imagine anyone would do that, do what I'm espousing, and then say, it's not for me.
Right.
Right? No one's writing 280 letters, right? No one's crazy like me, but you can write a letter or 2 or 3, and each time you do it, it'll make you feel good. Pillar number 1.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying that, for those who are thinking this is not going to work, it works. It absolutely works.
And tell me, because you're a man of the world, why are people thinking it wouldn't work? They don't feel they have the words, the time. They don't think the person will appreciate it. They're not believing me when I tell them it will make you feel tremendous to do this. What do you mean specifically when you say it won't work?
Well, it's people who are not used to gratitude. They're not used to being grateful. They're not used to feeling the gratitude. It's fake.
That's a whole different
they think,
ball of
I'm just telling you this because I want to tell you this to make it sound like I'm grateful, but I'm not really grateful. But I'm just paying it lip service, right? So we want to get away from that and get to the
Well,
real stuff.
let me say this. I'll give you a good analogy. Everyone has a gratitude spigot.
Mm,
You are referring to people whose spigot is rusted shut,
right.
but you can pull it open so it's dripping rusty water.
Hmm.
You can open it more so it trickles. You can open it more so it gushes. Gratitude will, and there's lots to gratitude, obviously, besides writing letters of
Sure.
gratitude.
Sure.
That is my thing, and it's my way of connecting with people. And it's an incredibly enriching hobby. I would urge everyone to try it, but there are ways of showing gratitude. May I share one with you?
Sure.
All right.
Please.
This is great. This works wonders. And I talk about this when I speak to audiences. It's in the book. I say, here's a gratitude practice that doesn't require a stamp, an envelope, or a walk to the mailbox. You could do it in the comforts of home. When you get into bed, you're settling down, pulling up the covers, adjusting the pillows. You recount everything that happened that day from morning till night that you were grateful for. Little things. I'll give you a stream of consciousness right now. You start in the morning. I'm grateful I had a green smoothie for breakfast. I could have easily finished off the kids' pancakes. I'm grateful I saw Bill at the hardware store this morning. Haven't seen him in months. I'm grateful when I pulled into the gas station, a pump opened up in front of me. I'm grateful that Zoom call ended in 20 minutes. We had allotted 45. Down through the day. What does this do? I'll give you a $10 word. It has a somnambulant effect on your nervous system, which means it allows you to find sleep more easily as you go through the list of things that happened that day that you were grateful for. Or let's call a fact a fact. At least things that didn't piss you off that happened that day.
Things that sort of went your way. Went your way. They went your way.
A little. You hit a streak of green lights.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, a cute woman nodded at you in the supermarket, whatever it is.
All those little bright spots, in between the dullness of life.
and I've been doing this for so long, years now. My list is usually between I'm not counting. I don't have like an umpire's pitch count next to me in bed. But I'm sure that most nights I'm doing 20, 30 things.
Nice.
And it makes you relax.
That's a really great practice.
You find sleep more easily. So if you don't feel like you're competent to write a letter and you don't have that emotional bandwidth to share, let's face it, I'm a perfect storm of effusiveness, creativity, and a very wide circle of life. Okay. Not everyone has those three things. So if you don't have the wide circle, see, I have a lot of friends from high school. I've been out of high school almost 50 years.
Wow.
Okay. I've got friends from high school, college, sports teams, Wall Street. I used to live in Georgia. I live in Utah. My golf writing career. I collect people, right? So many people don't act that way. They let sleeping dogs lie.
Yep.
Many people aren't willing to share feelings. So I understand that I'm an exception with all these letters, but everyone can show a little bit of gratitude to a few people. And if they refuse to put pen to paper, then just think of all the things that happened that day that didn't piss you off from morning till night, and it will help you relax before going to sleep.
I love it. That's fantastic. So thanks so much. This has been great. We went over time. I don't care. So let's, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Gratitudetiger.com is my website. You can reach me there. And that's really the best way. I came up with the Tiger acronym, tapping into gratitude engenders rewards. And then I realized, I bet that the website Gratitude Tiger is available. So there's always you can reach me through there, or the new book, Gratitude Tiger, is available wherever fine books are sold.
Excellent. I'll put all the links in the show notes. So thank you so much. This has been great. Lots
Chris,
of fun.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.